Hi all, welcome to the another special edition of Professor Visa and Education Services News Update. My name's Nish. Registered Migration Agent in Australia, 1568498 is the MARA number, and also Director of Professor Visa and Education Services. Now, I have quite a lot of topics to cover today, so I'm going to go straight to the first topic. Obviously, one of the hottest topic about the tourist visa. Now, in relation to the recent government announcement from 1st of November, any parents of Australian citizen or permanent resident has been classified under the definition of immediate family members. What does that mean? Well, basically that means they can come to Australia. Now it's about time to apply for a visa application, and I want to take you through what does that look like for you guys if you want to bring your parents to Australia now, and if you are an Australian citizen or permanent resident of Australia. Now, 491 holders, it's not quite there yet. Obviously, you guys potentially will be the second stage of the Prime Minister announcement, but at this point in time, it's a permanent resident, which means all the permanent residents visa, and also the citizen of Australia. They can invite their parents in tourist visa, which is Subclass 600, which we normally used to apply before. Now, obviously not in that particular order, but recommended steps is to actually first apply for the visa. Can we apply for the visa now? Of course you can apply for the visa now, despite it's not 1st of November yet, so visa application is coming out. It will be assessed, and the immigration, if you have met all the eligibility criteria, the visa will be granted. And once the visa is granted, there's no section in the application where you need to put your vaccination certificate or anything like that. So you just apply visa as per normal, and then after that you'll apply for travel exemption. Now, a travel exemption is very important, because without the travel exemption being exempted, or person being exempt to travel to Australia, the person would not be able to come into Australia. Even at this point in time, the vaccination is not essential. It's an optional thing to put it in your travel exemption application, but it's not mandatory. If you have, there is a section now which has been added into your travel exemption application, or part of the travel exemption application, which you can demonstrate that you have vaccination or full vaccination of COVID-19, which would add value to your application, of course, right? Now, what happens to the scenario of the people who doesn't have vaccination, a full stop, or who has a vaccination that is not recognized by TGA? I'll take you through that today. I mean, look, it's very important that we understand the full information, so that you can assist your parents, or you can assist your family members to arrive in Australia without any hiccups. Okay, so far, obviously, there's going to be more emerging news as we progress towards 1st of November and how things are going to roll out. I'm going to focus particularly in New South Wales for when I'm talking about this situation about overseas travellers coming inside New South Wales is my primary focus. But just in general, I've got some a list of documents that I want to go through quickly in this video, and it's going to be a little bit longer video today. So just what I'll do is I'll do a timestamp for certain topics, because I'll be covering tourist visa. I'll be covering some student visa section, which I normally don't talk about student visa, but I think it's very important that I talk about student visa in this video. And I'll talk about 408 visa and frequently asked question, and also 491 New South Wales 491 ROI nomination, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so moving on. So before you come to Australia, obviously you'll apply for visa, you'll apply for travel exemption, and then that part is done. You got that approved. Now it all comes down to vaccination certificate issued by the country, by the other country essentially. If it's issued by Australia, obviously there's going to be no problem, but obviously your parents hasn't been to Australia to get vaccinated, so hence we're talking about this situation. So to qualify as a fully vaccinated, you need to have received the recommendation schedule of doses of a vaccine that Australia's Therapeutic Goods Administration, TGA in a short form, has either approved or recognised. Vaccines currently approved in Australia are AstraZeneca, Pfizer, I mean, I'm just going to talk about the the commonly used name as opposed to the scientific name. So Moderna, Janssen, and also TGA recognised the following vaccines not registered in Australia: AstraZeneca, Covishield, Sinovac, Coronavac. Okay, so the TGA also recognised the following vaccine not registered in Australia, which means the Australians are not using it, but the TGA does recognise these particular vaccines as well. So the most up-to-date information on approved and recognised vaccines are available in TGA website. So I have just been to TGA website before sort of making the video. At this point in time, they have for Australia, I'm talking about Australia. So TGA has mainly focused on 4 major vaccines, which is AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, Janssen. Okay, so people have different common name for these vaccines, so you need to check what do you call. I've encountered people saying Johnson and Johnson vaccine, and then they've given a different common names for this as well, which is fine. Of course, it's just the manufacturer's name anyway. Now, your vaccination certificate must have been issued by a national or state provincial level authority or an accredited vaccination provider. Paper and digital certificates are equally accepted. Your certificate must be in English. A certificate is also acceptable if it's written in multiple language, and one of those languages is English, and your certificate must show at a minimum your name as it appears in your passport, so that in home country there's a tendency of writing a different name, so make sure that the name in the certificate of the vaccination matches with the passport of the traveller. Either your date of birth or your passport number, the vaccine brand name, and either the date you got each dose or the date on which you completed the full course of immunization. If your vaccination certificate does not meet all these requirements, you will not qualify as a fully vaccinated traveller. Now, complete the Australian travel declaration at least 72 hours before you travel to Australia. Upload a vaccination certificate and confirm it's authenticated. All of that jazz. Anyways, so coming back to the vaccination part, so of course there's going to be a problem. I mean, there's going to be issues that we're going to encounter for people who got the vaccination at their home country, which is not yet recognised by TGA in Australia as approved vaccination. So what happens in that particular case? Well, that particular case has not been discussed anywhere, like someone's got a different vaccine, but we have done a little bit of research on this. So what we have ascertained is, obviously this is not a medical advice, but what we have ascertained is seek proper consultation with your medical advisors and find out at what sort of gap you need to have in order to get those recognized vaccine up and running in your system. So for example, if someone took the vaccine or someone's fully vaccinated today and that vaccine is not recognized in Australia by TGA, now you need to talk to your medical advisor. And look, there are certain information that we already know, but we are not a medical advisor, so I'm bound not to talk about those kind of stuff. But if you go and talk to your medical advisor, they will advise what sort of gap you need to have in order to take those recognized vaccination. Now that will probably help you because most of our parents, if they were proactive in order to take those vaccines, I'm pretty sure by this time they've already passed 6 months or 8 months or whatever it is. So look out for boosters, look out for another shot, or look out for single shot vaccination that are registered with TGA, things like that. Now again, it's not medical advice. Please seek medical advice from your medical practitioner. They should be able to tell you when can you have this registered vaccination shots for immunization. Now, but Australia's got a very good guideline in terms of how they're planning for the overseas traveller coming to Australia, well, especially New South Wales is what I'm going to talk about today, is the overseas traveller arriving in Australia 1st of November 2021. People arriving in New South Wales who are fully vaccinated would not required to quarantine. They must have a COVID-19 test after arrival, prove full vaccination as recognised by the Therapeutic Goods Administration TGA and have their vaccination status certified by the Commonwealth. People arriving in New South Wales from overseas who are not fully vaccinated must quarantine for 14 days. That is the current situation. So if you're not vaccinated, now how they're going to recognize, or how the Border Force will recognize other vaccines, I think it will fall under the non or not fully vaccinated category. That's what we're anticipating anyway. But as I say, this component will be more clearer as the date comes in. But again, this does not affect on applying for a visa or getting a travel exemption. So that can still happen simultaneously, while we're still finding out how they're going to treat the people who's got the vaccine but not recognized. So people who are not fully vaccinated need to quarantine for 14 days. Now, there are some home quarantine pilots programs being run by the New South Wales government at the moment, but that is for the selected cohort of the people. So that has not been like a norm. It's not a standard as yet. So the hotel quarantine for not fully vaccinated people is still persist. Now, the key facts about the hotel quarantine: if you are arriving in New South Wales from an overseas location, you will need to go into 14 days mandatory quarantine period. Mandatory quarantine is a legal requirement under the public health order. So it's not that you can skip or, quickly jet to your relative's place. You will be charged a fixed fee for hotel quarantine. Not following the quarantine rules is a criminal offence and attracts a heavy penalties. For individual, the maximum penalty is $11,000, 6 months imprisonment, or both, with the further $5,500 fine for each day of the offence continues. So that's a quite heavy fine, and also it attracts imprisonment. Before leaving hotel quarantine, all guests 12 years and older will be offered a COVID-19 vaccination, Pfizer or AstraZeneca. The vaccine team will identify a suitable second dose vaccine for those who have already had one dose. You can learn more about these vaccinations for return travellers. This is more about the return travellers, people coming to Australia, overseas travellers. Essentially, the rules is going to be same. Now, the key message is, of course, we can't talk much about how your the interest in the travel exemption also talks about this is just travel exemption, but you still need to seek an advice from the travel agency or the your airlines who's gonna outbound the plane and inbound in Australia. We still got to talk to the the airlines provider to see what's their compliance as well. So there's going to be the state or national jurisdiction compliance, but there's also going to be the airlines compliance as well. So there's two different components, so don't mix it up. So it's always important that you seek some advice from your airlines company about their policy, their in-house policy. What do they need? The certification of a PCR test, or I don't know. So every airlines might have a different rules. So that is also another component that your parents got to or yourself got to check before someone's ready to come to Australia. Now, it is definitely good news. It's a starting point. Now, I know I've got a lot of disappointed mother who's got their and father, of course, who's got their child stuck in their home country, their partner stuck in their home country. Look, it's just a matter of the time, and slowly I'm sure that the government will use this parent thing as a pilot program and see how that's going to roll out. And eventually, the second cohort of the people, will get the chance to enter into Australia. So let's stay positive. I mean, at least we are at that stage where, from Monday onwards, the Australian citizen and permanent residents parents can come to Australia. That's a great news, I suppose. Okay. Now, that's your tourist visa. So if you are in a position of inviting your parents, or you want us to look after your parents' visa, yep, happy days. You don't need a booking for that. You just walk in. We have our team members ready to serve you in relation to the visitor visa for your parents if you are Australian citizen or permanent resident. The second topic I'm going to talk about is a student visa. So now the student visa is one of those crucial visa to talk about in today's topic, is because in last 2 years, when people have actually extended their student visa, we have seen the underlying trend from Department of Home Affairs is they were not so strict in relation to assessing the financial capacity or assessing the genuine temporary entry criteria direction 69 or migration regulation 500.212. Now, they were lenient in relation to doing that. Now, having saying that, it's not somewhere it was prescribed in Department of Home Affairs, or it was not prescribed anywhere. It's just the underlining thing that we have seen, and then obviously there has been some student visa, bridging visa A holder who's been waiting for student visa for quite some time. Now, the government has, sort of some application they have actually put on hold for the reason, and some application were just overlooked, and that's why there was extensive delays. Now, this is important time. If your application has been pending for quite some time, update the application with the recent information. For example, the success, percentage of your completion of your course, to demonstrate that you're a genuine student. Upload those unofficial transcript, upload those receipts of you making a payment of tuition fees, photographs, whatever you have to demonstrate that, of course, you've been waiting for the last 8 months or 1 year to, to get your visa, student visa decision. Now, I'm sure you have traveled and finished a significant part of the course. Now, it's important that you demonstrate at this point of time. I'll tell you why it's important, because the Home Affairs lately has started taking the approach of how the things were before COVID, which is we have already started seeing that the further documents request on a student visa is a lot different than how the further documents request was made, literally about a week ago. So those golden days for a student visa, I guess, is almost finished. Like, essentially people were getting, some of the people were getting away with applying for diploma certificate, for example, like downgrading their, certificate level, or, choosing a completely random subject which has no relevancy of your previous study history. People have actually overlooked their immigration history in Australia and have applied for courses that are very random. So we have, started getting those inquiries from the clients as well, like where they've actually applied visa themselves, and now the immigration has a strict a natural justice or strict approach towards the GT criteria. So just be careful when we apply. If you're applying for a student visa, genuine temporary entry criteria is an essential heart and soul of the student visa, which means you have to demonstrate that you're a genuine student who will essentially go back home after finishing your study, and how this particular study will help you add value to whatever the career aspiration you have back home. So originally, the Direction 69 was introduced as a discretionary power to the case officer. So, which means, case officer could broadly, put a comment on your GT statement and refuse your application. So be extra careful. This is a time you wanted to go back and apply documents that will support your, your presence in Australia as a genuine student, and make sure your progress reports are there, and make sure that finding if your college providers, universities and stuff like that has actually dropped down to level 2 or 3. Think about the financial capacity as well. It's at the time of application requirement, don't get me wrong. However, just be extra careful. That's what I'm trying to say at this point of time. Now, of course, most of the education provider has actually gone up to level 1, because obviously there was no border sort of open for international students, so there was no visa refusal. So the risk assessment level for majority of the education provider stayed very good for this throughout the year. But again, we need to watch out for the risk assessment level for the university and colleges and education provider in order to ascertain what will be your requirement when lodging a student visa. So that's student visa for you guys. Now, 408 visa holders, you guys seems to be a little bit worried about, hang on a sec, or seems like Australia's going back to normal. We're almost 80% vaccinated nationwide, so does that mean that there will be no 408 visa? Well, 408 visa essentially is sort of tied up with the World Health Organization. So if the World Health Organization announced there is no more global pandemic, then you will be given some time to actually apply for another visa. So it's not that your visa will cease immediately as soon as the World Health Organization will announce this. And I've already made plenty of video on 408. If you actually scroll down to my previous videos, there is a section on how many days they will allow you, what you need to do, and what is the 8503 visa condition that you're worried about, and all that kind of stuff. So so I don't see that being a major issue at the moment. So and also the majority of the people are asking, can I change my employer while I'm holding a 408 visa? Now, we have already discussed this in my previous video as well, but just quickly, yes, you can. As long as you're working in a critical sector, you can change your proposer. All you have to do is just let the immigration know that you have changed your proposer, as long as you're working in a critical sector. If you're working in aged care, it's not necessarily you have to be working in aged care. You can go and work in the hospitality industry as well. Like, as long as you're working in a critical sector, it doesn't matter. You can change your employer, and also you can change locations. You can change states, not a problem. But as long as you let the immigration know about your current status, about the fact that you're working in a critical sector, and just apply the supporting evidence from the new employer, and update the immigration just stating that you have changed your employer. However, the position that you will be working will be still under critical classification of critical under 408 visa. Now, just quickly on 491. New South Wales have, obviously given, their first October round invitation. Lots of cooks, chefs, cafe restaurant manager, accountants, registered nurse, NSC, occupational health and safety advisor, social worker. Congratulations to all of these people. Now, majority of the accountants who received an invitation has been working in the nominated occupation from last 1 year. Now, remind you, this is the first round for October. There's going to be yet more rounds of invitation for October. And don't forget, October nomination, you got to lodge it today or tomorrow. So, the points, stats, and everything like that is in our website. In our social media. So have a look through there. Now, my video is sort of running out more than 22 minutes. I'm going to stop here. Obviously, I will be back again with more update and news. But keep watching, keep sharing with your friends and family. Now, in relation to 491 ROI updates, I will be making a separate video just on that. Okay. Well, stay safe, and feel free to contact us, and we'll take care of things. And mind you, you can walk into our office now, because you don't need to make a booking, mainly for people who wants to extend their student visa, extend their TR, lodge TR, you can extend if you're regional. But if you want to lodge a 485 visa, if you want to change university colleges, student visa, 408 visa, you don't need a booking, so you just got to walk in. I've got plenty of people who can help you out on that one. For permanent residency and future plans and stuff like that, yes, there is an ample of option. You can choose our consultant for online consultations. We have myself will be doing face-to-face. So go to our website, go to our social media page, and you can book it online. Okay. Well, thanks for watching. I'll be back again with more updates soon. Bye bye.